Welcome back to the Fulfilled Female Entrepreneur Podcast. It's your host, Cassandra Rosa. I'm a certified coach and healer and intuitive business coach. And the mission behind all that I do is to help you to create a fulfilling life and business. Today, I'm excited to have Loren Cellentani on the podcast. She's going to be talking about how to step outside of your head and become your true magnetic self. Loren, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so excited to hear about all your wisdom today.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor to be here with a fellow Italian here and also having you on my podcast too. It's going to be airing around the same time. So I'm excited we can share both of our wisdom with all of our audiences to kind of amplify this beautiful healing vibration out into the world.
Yes, the world needs it. And I just had a
Yeah.
blast. So we're going to leave a link in the show notes so you can check out Loren's podcast. And she's going to be talking about it towards the end here. I'm excited to introduce you to Loren. She spent a good portion of her life feeling like her body and emotions were sabotaging her dreams, but they were all leading her way to heal and empower others. She uncovered how to harness the life force energy through her body. Her method incorporates breath work, somatic healing, and movement to unleash your energy for you to reclaim your unlimited power. Now, Loren helps ambitious woo-woo women harness the power of their emotions to manifest their calling with passion and purpose in her group program, Sovereign Mastermind. Learning how to own your power, rule your reality, and live your purpose in her top 2% podcast called Witchy Wellness Radio. You can hear the calling of your soul to shine more, but what's keeping you from living that reality? It's time to step outside your head into your true magnetic and mystical self. What a powerful bio and mission that you have. So it's amazing to collaborate with you today and hear more about your journey too.
Yeah, I'm excited to share it. I know we're so aligned in so many ways. So I love being able to like speak each of our own language, but we're all talking about the same thing. And for me, beginning of my journey, that always scared me. But
Mhm.
I'm like, no, the right teacher's there when you need them. You never know how somebody says something just a little bit differently that's going to resonate with you today versus yesterday. So I'm so excited to expand upon all of these topics and more, diving into the unknown today with you.
I love it. So on the podcast, we always talk about fulfillment. So what does it mean to you?
Ooh, I know. You asked me this before, and I'm like, okay, it'll come to me in the moment. I think fulfillment for me is just allowing and being present. I know fulfillment is kind of your word this year. And for me, it's really relaxing and allow. Um, Realizing how much of my energy used to be spent in the trying and the doing and the masculine. And yes, we need to take the action, but when we can relax and allow whatever is coming up, whether it's a negative quote unquote emotion or situation, or even a good feeling in our life, we're able to be present and transmute that. And there's always, always, always the next step. There's always a nugget of wisdom. You get to know yourself at a deeper level. So I think fulfillment for me is just allowing and relaxing, which also is very cliche in terms of mindfulness, but it's like I've this year that allowing and relaxing have been kind of my focus and my words. And at a deeper level, really experiencing asking myself, do I really manifest here? Or is it just allowing all my greatness that's already there vibrationally? So this year has been a exploration of just surrendering and relaxing into it and realizing the fulfillment is in that. It's all right here. It's just, are we going to resist the fulfillment? Or are we going to go with that flow of ease?
Mm,
And yeah, the present moment, that's what it comes down to for me.
I love that. Such a beautiful definition. And I love asking this question, everyone, because it's all completely different. And I think that it's a very flowing approach, very, kind of the image I see is like when you're seeing down a creek that there's like a piece of wood and it's just going on down nice and easily, right? So it's a beautiful way to approach it because kind of like what we're talking about on your podcast, typically people see fulfillment as a sense of achievement and destination and kind of adopt this whole concept of destination syndrome that I talk about. You can only feel fulfilled when you get to the destination. So I love how you're kind of embracing that path the whole way through. And with all that you do in your business and with your mission, what's the most fulfilling part of that all for you?
Ooh, I think number one, continually practice what I preach because I think there's a lot of people out there, especially with social media, who can say all the right things. But for me, the fulfilling thing is to continue to practice that, to push myself, because I know vibrationally, the more I align with who I really am, work on my frequency, I see that automatically in my reality and the clients that I work with because it's like I mentioned earlier, it's not about the doing or the thinking or the trying. It's really about the beingness, which is just allowing the fulfillment is here for you right now. It's about taking responsibility in the moment. Okay, I'm going to allow this disappointment to come up. And why do I feel like a disappointment?
Mm.
And being present in my body and continually practicing that because I think the most fulfilling part for me is continually being on that journey. There's no end destination here. And that's what I want to impart on the beautiful women that I work with because it's a muscle, it's a skill we get to build every single day. There's always going to be contrast, there's always going to be something unknown or quote unquote negative that pops up because if everything was just so dandy and beautiful and perfect all the time, I don't think we would be here. We're in this reality in this lifetime to really master that alchemization of our emotions, to
Mhm.
transmute all of that contrast and yin and the yang, the masculine, feminine, the dark and the light. That's how we create. If you think it takes a man and a woman to create a baby, that's how we create as human beings in this lifetime, in this body. And for me, my mission and the most fulfilling thing that probably brings all of this answer back together is me practicing this because I can get so stuck up in my head. And same with so many of the ambitious women that you're listening to this podcast. I'm sure you have big dreams, you have a big heart, and you get stuck in the thinking and the worrying and trying to control. And it can be so simple bringing it back to your body, to the emotions, to the energy. And whatever that looks like for you, we're visiting my family up north in Ohio right now. We've been doing cold plunges outside every day because nothing brings you to the present like cold water. Let me tell you. And the more you resist that cold water, the more it's going to hurt. So the more you just naturally want to tense your body up, but the more you can just take a deep breath, relax your body, the easier it gets. I'm not gonna say it's easy, because it's not, but you're training your system, your nervous system to reset and know that when those moments come up, that you can regulate and that those moments are actually building that muscle to feel more fulfillment at the end of the day. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I love that. I love that. And those cold plunges, they're no joke, but they are a wonderful way to be able to get you in the present, that's for sure. And I know when we're talking about topics for today, we're talking about really focusing in on how we have this overactive mind. And sometimes as women, and because of society, the way that we've been conditioned, we're taught to really be very logical. And how you're kind of just speaking about how that can get us caught up into these patterns of control, of controlling situations, of going back to the creek example, just pedaling and missing the whole flow of the stream and just go, go, go. And that can block us from being our most magnetic selves, for manifesting whatever it is that we want, for making the impact that we want, and the fulfillment that we're destined to have. So, what has made you so passionate about speaking to the magnetism that we all have just for being us and shifting out of this headiness that we're all conditioned to have?
Yes, thank you for asking that. I mean, that's my life journey. I think everybody listening is like, your journey, your story is your mission. is what you're here to heal and to feel and to then give that back to the world. So rewind 10, 15 years ago, during my college graduation, I had my first panic attack out of nowhere. And that led to years of chronic anxiety. For the first 6 months, multiple panic attacks a day. Never experienced anything like that in my life. And what I now know is looking back at that, hindsight, my body, my higher self was like, okay, you prepared your whole life to this moment. You were always the good girl, overachiever, got the good grades, have a job, corporate job lined up before you graduate. Check, 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 check.
Mm.
And now what? Which I know is the title of your book, but it's the same energy. It was like, okay, I'm so overly in this masculine energy. I did all the right things, doing, but I never knew how to listen in to what my body was saying, to what my emotions were telling me, to the physical symptoms like lifelong chronic digestive issues and migraines and these things that aren't normal, but my body was all telling me. It was leading the way. It wasn't in the way to my own journey, to my higher self. That all the things that hit the fan, quote unquote, in our lives are actually here to remind us of who we really are. Because without those things hitting the fan, we would just keep going down the path that, playing in small or unworthiness or whatever. We're just playing those tapes over and over. Sometimes it takes a little bit slap in the face or kicked off the horse, if you will, to reassess and say, now what? So that was my journey. And then I think for women as a whole, my mom named me Loren, Loren, because it was the unisex spelling of Lauren. And she didn't want me to be discriminated against as a woman in the corporate world because she experienced that in her lifetime. So we grew up as, I'm speaking as a millennial woman here, in this feminist era, and we tried to just so fit into how mainstream society was,
Mhm.
how everything was happening in the overall masculine, and just putting on the big girl pants and doing and not feeling. And as women, we intuitively, I believe, have easy access into that muscle. Men have the same access, but I think we just feel just naturally so much more. And we don't learn how to harness that. We suppress. So my mission was born from that, was born from my own story of connecting to myself, connecting to my body, that, my intuition, those emotions, those physical symptoms weren't keeping me from all of my dreams. They weren't keeping me from my goals. They were telling me I needed to take a look inside and reassess and to heal and to feel and do things differently than I was my entire life. And, I started eating healthier, which really helped, but it didn't really heal long term until I started taking a look inside my mind and most importantly, my body, because this work can be easy. It can feel really overwhelming. Even just saying the word surrender to some people is going to be triggering and scary and like, God, how do you do that? It's really just learning to relax your body and to allow, bringing it back to what we were speaking of earlier, to amplify your magnetism is really just getting your body into a relax and restore state because we're so stuck in this fight or flight energy all day, every day, that not only are we, you know, suppressing our intuition, but we're killing ourselves. And we're suppressing that magnetism. We won't even see those opportunities or those synchronicities that come right in front of our face if we're in this vibration of victimhood, in the vibration of depression, or even just helplessness. There's nothing wrong with those vibrations, but if you want to stay there, wonderful. But if you want to start to shift into your own magnetic self, it takes being aware with how you feel moment to moment without judging it. Because when we can start to shift from the judgment and the thinking about what we're doing into how we're actually feeling, that's when we can start to relax. That's when we can amplify that magnetism. It's already there. That's my biggest thing here. I'm just helping people learn to relax and to allow all of the wisdom, all of the guidance, all the abundance, all of the fulfillment that's there waiting for you. Your higher self, universe, God has all of this right here. It's like, here, please, please, please take this. I love you so much. But you have to learn to relax and allow and like see this beautiful life opportunity right in front of your eyes. So a little long-winded answer, but I think that answered your question.
Yes, so much goodness. I resonate with so much of it. And I spoke about this in my book too. It's like we have these checklist. You go to school, you get good grades, you get your degree, you get a corporate job, then you get the house, then you have the family, right? Like it's all those boxes. And as women, it's like do, do, do. We don't know how to receive things because we're taught to like go get it, independent woman, rah, rah, like feminism, right? So embodying all parts of ourselves energetically and tuning into like that tree energy of just groundedness and receiving and oh the wind blows, whoop, let's just move with the wind. And flow is such a powerful lesson to learn, and I resonate with this deeply as well as a millennial that have gone through. Seems like we have a lot of things in common, right, of being in that place of unlearning so much of that and creating that balance within so we can allow, so we can surrender, so we can know how to receive, because that's what magnetism is all about. It's not being the other side of the magnet trying to see what it's going to attach to. It's being there and waiting for those other pieces to just come and attract to us specifically. And I know when it comes to the body and it comes to the mind and it comes to anxiety and depression and all these things, what I've learned is as energetic beings going through a human experience, often when we are disconnected with our energy, that's where we first get those icky things and thoughts and consciousness into our field. And then it goes into our mind, right? And the sirens go off. And then it goes into the physical body. And that's what can manifest with these physical things, like you're talking about, chronic digestion issues and all these different things. For me, it was like physical pain in the body. So I think the more that us as women step into our intuitive selves, we're able to be in touch on things in the energetic level. So it doesn't need to go so deep and physically affect us and be a detriment or a blip in our systems that can disconnect us from our impact in the way that we're meant to share our greatness with the world and make it an easeful and allowing and beautiful experience. So with that being said, in terms of the magnetism, right? Getting out of your head and stepping into that magnetic state for people that are in this journey where they're heady or they're experiencing anxiety or depression, that can feel like so woo-woo or so far away. What was your journey from helping you to shift out of like these mental constructs and like being so heady? What was like that breakthrough moment that allowed you to step into your magnetism? Because I know when you talked about surrender, right? Even a year ago or 2 years ago, when someone said surrender, I'm like, how do you surrender? What do I need to do to surrender? Right? What was that breakthrough for you that allowed you to shift from like the headiness and being stuck
Yeah.
at experience to allowing and receiving and magnetizing?
Well, it's a journey. I'll say I'm still on that journey. Well, are. Um, I think it was a small series of steps. At beginning when I was super anxious, I couldn't even go to a yoga class, even though I loved practicing yoga before. But I was so worried about not knowing a pose. What are they going to cue next? Now I'm a yoga teacher, so it's like clearly work through that fear. But it was just taking those baby steps. I know you mentioned on your interview on my show, it really is those small vibrational steps every single day of like asking yourself, how would I feel? What would I do if I was calm, if I was confident, or whatever you're trying to embody? I think that really helped me at first. Um, but for me, it's so physical. Um, I've always felt energy in my body, the emotions, like my journey. I've never really had that much my spiritual journey outside of the body kind of experience. It's always been very physical, like clairsentient. So I know that's part of my mission and, my dharma this lifetime is like relearning that, remembering that, and helping other people remember the same. And it's really as simple as just doing things that bring you back into your body. For some people, it's practicing yoga and however that looks for you, going for a walk. Breath work is why I love breath work so much, especially if you're in your head. Sometimes meditation can seem so far away. You almost get stuck in your head even more after trying to meditate. I totally get that. Um, and then somatic healing practices, which I teach people through my program, which really just means learning to listen to your body, is what it means. Is like starting to build that awareness of when emotions come up or those physical sensations, the aches, the pains, and how to relax, how to shake up, how to activate that energy. But it's just building that intuition muscle in a different way, in a physical way, to get outside of, oh my God, what is that pain in my chest? Oh my God, am I having a heart attack right now? And like going down WebMD in your head, like all the symptoms in your head, to just being able to kind of be present, slow down your breath, start to open your focus, bring your awareness to that space in your body, and allow that energy to move and start to listen to maybe what it has to say to you. Your body, the tagline of my podcast, and so much of my mission is your body and emotions, they aren't in the way. They are leading the way. So the core of the magnetism is really getting out of the head into your body. And that looks way different for everybody, but it's a muscle that you can start to build, just like learning to listen to your gut intuition. Same thing with your body. I teach how to, work with your chakras, your energy centers, or just when you feel your emotions, when anger comes up. Where is it coming in your body? What's the sensation? A lot of times I feel it in my third center, just this huge ball of fire and rage. And allowing yourself to fully be present in that moment, to feel it come up, to move your body, to make sounds, to maybe scream if you need to allow that energy up and out. Because the more that we want to judge ourselves, suppress the emotions, stay in the head, oh my God, I'm having these revengeful thoughts. I'm being really angry right now. I'm the spiritual person. Who am I to do that? Like I thought I healed this. To get outside of that, start to move the body, as simple as even a dance party, but it's about building that muscle of like, okay, I can feel the fear. I can feel me being stuck up in my head. That's something that I've learned over and over this lifetime, and it's really well practiced. So I'm going to give myself grace as I'm learning this new way of working with my body, of trusting my body, of building this awareness that I'm going to be stuck in my head sometimes, and that's okay. And not to judge myself, but to give myself more and more grace each time that something comes up. And then you'll start to shift that momentum bit by bit and start to be present and start to be excited when an emotion comes up, because you know that you're pushing up against something different in your life, that you're ready to change and magnetize. And so many of my clients in my own journey, I've been surprised. I've manifested huge things in my life when what's hitting the fan. And it's because you're being present with what's coming up for you. Before I manifested my partner, like a month before he came into my life, horrible anxiety. This was like 2 years ago. I was helping people heal their anxiety at this point in my business. I'm like, why am I seriously? Why is this coming up for me? My skin acne was like breaking out all over my face, my whole body. I looked like I was going through puberty again. It was horrible, but my body was like helping me. I was doing so much of this inner work. It was clearing that old denseness out of my system, out of my field. And because I had raised my vibration so high, that dense energy has to match up. Energy always comes up to the higher vibration. And lo and behold, he magically comes into my life. Things that you couldn't even write. Like his middle name is spelled Loren, Lauren. Like there's so many synchronicities there. It's like, okay, well, I can't make this up. I know this is my higher self. And that's when you have to surrender and like, oh wow. The inner work of trusting my body and emotions are actually paying off. Oh, I am really magnetic. And you start to build that through small things. And when you least expect it, the big things too. So I think that answers your question with the magnetism.
I love it. I love it. And you gave so many tangible examples of how to get out of your head, right? So I don't want for you, the listeners and the watchers, to just have this be another podcast episode. Take a moment, rewind, and listen back and just see what stands out to you. What do you feel curious about? Is it yoga? Is it breath work? What, like all the different things she said, and try it on in those moments that you're getting heady, that you're getting overwhelmed, you're experiencing anxiety, depression, whatever it is. Start with applying that into your life and just try it on. Like the way I love to talk about tools is trying it on like you're trying to find a new jacket. You might have to try a few ones on before you find your perfect fit. So lean into that curiosity so that you can start to get out of your head. Because when you're out of your head, then you can get into the next step, which is about really surrendering and really allowing yourself to be magnetic. So for someone that is like, okay, I found my tool, I'm good to be able to help move out of my head. And now I'm ready to step more into surrender. What are some like mental shifts that people can make when it comes to manifesting? Especially this is coming out in January, right? We're talking about manifesting to step more into that allowing and that surrender. What are some shifts that they can make to allow for more magnetism and more allowance and surrender for all their goals and resolutions that they may have set for this year?
Yeah. I think, well, the biggest thing is that reminding yourself that every single thing is happening for you. It's not happening to you. You're not a victim of life. You're not a victim of your emotions, your body, or whatever. Fill in the blank. It is truly all here for you. God, the universe, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, loves you so much. All of these things are happening for you to change and to grow and to remember who you really are this lifetime. And without this physical thing, this body, this spacesuit, we wouldn't be able to feel everything. And I don't know about you guys, but when you've experienced the contrast, the loneliness maybe, you really appreciate the love of when you've done the healing work to feel what's coming up on the other side of that stick, as Abraham would say. I'm a huge Abraham law of attraction person here. Um, but you appreciate that contrast. You wouldn't, if you had that love in your life without feeling the opposite side of that, the lack, the loneliness, the depression, you wouldn't appreciate that. So remember that every single thing, all of the quote unquote negative experiences or emotions are happening for you. I think that's a huge shift to know that, like, whatever's coming up in your life is your initiation into your higher self, into all of your goals. Your higher self, universe, God wants all of the things that you want for yourself, but always so much bigger and better and more beautiful than you can ever imagine in your human mind, which is amazing. And that's where the surrender comes in for me is like, okay, if I know everything is happening for me, including these things that I don't like about myself in life right now, okay, all right. Once I can believe that, how does that shift when I look up with things in my life and myself? Okay, I can look at myself in a more non-judgmental or an observer kind of role, and it allows me to actually look at it in a healthier way to make change. And I also acknowledge that the things that I want is what my higher self wants too, but the surrender comes in how that comes to me, what comes to me, when it comes to the details in between.
I love
So
that.
focusing on the feeling, on the emotion of when you have your dream clients, your business, hitting the 100,000, the six-figure mark. What feelings do you think you're going to feel? That fulfillment that Cassandra is all about, I'm about too. What does that actually, how does fulfillment feel in your body? And start to build that trust in yourself every time you listen to your intuition or your body. Making a list, even small things. I practice this like on walks. If I just listen to my body, going around the neighborhood. All right, I'm going to take a right here. And then my body's like, oh, loop it around again. I'm like, all right, cool, body. I just did this loop, but I'm going to do this again. And then I'll run into a friend or a neighbor that I wasn't expecting. All these small things that we don't acknowledge in the day when we listen to ourselves, that is the part of surrendering, building trust. Because it's going to be really hard to surrender when you don't trust yourself, let alone your higher self or the universe. So, developing that trust muscle, I like to call them the trusted truths, because your truth is that everything is happening for you, that you can surrender to your big magnetic life every moment, but you got to retrain your mind and your body to remember that. And that takes practice over and over and over again. So, setting an alarm throughout the day to check in with yourself, because chances are, if you're running this lack program, depression, victimhood behind the scenes for so many years, you're going to check in, you're going to feel throughout the day, oh, wow, I'm really practicing that victim or anxiety or stress feeling right now. I'm literally scanning my environment to get ahead of the stress, whether it's like an angry coworker email or traffic, whatever it may be, like you're searching for things to happen to make you feel that way. So
Mm.
you check in, set an alarm, and just relax, whether it's put on a breath work, listen to an inspirational YouTube video, go for a walk, reset. Remind your body that its natural state is in the present moment and relaxed. And that's really how you can start to allow all those manifestations, all those New Year's goals into your life. We started the episode this way too. All of those things you want vibrationally are already done. So if you think about it that way, it's not you creating everything, it's already here. All you have to do is just welcome it in, allow it in, become that version of you who is aligned with that vibrational manifestation for it to come to you in physical form. So I know it's so simple and kind of cliche, but it really is. A surrender is about building the trust in yourself and your intuition, and reminding and retraining yourself that it's safe to relax and to be present in your body.
I love that. So many beautiful points there in really taking that ownership for your life, that it's yours, and just knowing that everything that you want is just right on the other side of that magnetism, that surrender, and getting out of your head into your body, your soul, and allowing your magnetic nature to really shine, which is so beautiful. So you have a beautiful podcast, which you Wellness Radio. It's a top 2% podcast. You want to talk about the mission, where they can tune in?
Yeah, it's on all podcast platforms, on YouTube as well. You guys can tune in on any of the platforms. The mission, I've said it before, I'll say it again, which came to me in a bath when I was relaxing, by the way. It just plopped in when you have those beautiful downloads. When you're relaxed, this is what I talk about. It's all right there, but I wasn't thinking about it. I had it on my mind that day, and I was relaxing in the bathtub, and all of a sudden this thought bubble just popped in. And the mission is your body and emotions are not in the way. They are leading the way. So we have so many people from holistic health, spirituality, business, all different modalities that are doing that in their life. Like Cassandra was a beautiful guest on the show as well, to really help remind us of that inherent wisdom that we all have in our bodies through our emotions, so we can all be our biggest and brightest self this lifetime, because I believe that's why we're here, is to feel it and to heal it and give that back to humanity and raise consciousness itself. So, just a small mission.
Yeah, I love it. And it was an honor to be a guest. So thank you for having me. Definitely going to leave a link to that in this video or in the show notes. Where's another place that they can connect with you to get to know you and all of your beautiful mission in the world?
Yeah, I mostly hang out on Instagram, which is just my name at Loren Cellentani, which I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. Um, I love posting reels. I love connecting with people through DMs. So if you have any questions, please message me there. I do have usually a few free coaching opportunities every month. So just DM me on Instagram the word free, and I'd be like more than happy to set up a free coaching, 30, 45 minute coaching session to really help you get clarity on how do I actually relax, what's actually coming up in my life, and how do I get clarity on shifting into that magnetic version of myself because so many women I talk to and work with lacking the clarity and the confidence. They really have it already, but it's about just shifting that perspective. Even listening to this podcast is going to be a huge help starting to take those baby steps forward towards that magnetic version of you.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank
Yeah.
you for on, sharing all your wisdom, your mission. It's so big, bright, and
Sure.
thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's such an honor to be with you today on here and on my show. It's just like rippling out into consciousness. It's such a beautiful way to give back. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I'll upload a new video on Thursday. See you in the next one. Bye.